I've been talking a lot about anti-aging principles, how to look more youthful. But today we're going to talk about how to feel more youthful, how to feel younger. And nobody likes to feel old, regardless of their age. And so, what do I mean feeling old? I'm talking about stiffness. Are your joints stiff? Do you have achy muscles? Okay, that's called myalgia. Do you have inflammation in your joints? Do you have brain fog, a lack of clarity? Is your mood not where it should be? Do you have this symptom called malaise, which is just a general feeling of unwellness, or something called post exertional malaise, which you feel fatigued if you do any exercise? So, as soon as you start exercising or exerting yourself, you feel like, wow, my body is just not on the same page. Or do you have fatigue or a lack of energy with just crappy sleep? If you have any of these symptoms, you're going to like this video. Now, I think most people know that your diet is behind most of these problems, but there's another hidden cause that I want to make you aware of that is actually quite common, especially if you have chronic fatigue. In fact, roughly 70% of the actual cause of chronic fatigue is not necessarily related to your diet. It's related to something called latent viruses. It's a virus that you were infected at one time, but it's not producing any symptoms right now. It's asymptomatic, but it can be reactivated as any of the symptoms I just described. So here you are, you're exercising, you're on the right diet, but you don't really feel youthful. It could be one of these latent viruses that's being reactivated. Now, the group of viruses that are more latent viruses are the herpes viruses, like herpes simplex 1, 2, the Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, and even HIV is capable of being latent, and so is hepatitis. So these sneaky little viruses have a survival mechanism to go underneath the radar. So they can kind of go deep in your cells and just wait. Okay. And they wait for a door to open. They wait for the switch to be triggered. And that number one most common switch is, you ready for this? Stress. So does stress actually make you feel old or tired? Well, in actuality, it could be reactivating viruses that are then creating an immune response, not a full-blown infection, but an immune response that can make you feel like you feel run down, you feel kind of old. Now, what's interesting about these viruses, especially the herpes viruses, is that the great majority of the population, I'm talking about 87% of the population, has been infected with herpes. And apparently, regarding Epstein-Barr virus or mono, 95% of the population has been infected with this virus. So, given the fact that the majority of the population has this virus and they also go through stress, it's no wonder that these symptoms that I described are very, very, very common. Even COVID and its variants can lower your T cell and reactivate some of these other viruses. So, in other words, if someone had a COVID infection, that could reactivate some of these other issues, can put a person to the state where they have brain fog, achy joints, inflammation, a lowered mood, poor sleep, long after the COVID infection. So, the number one most important thing to do is to isolate what is stressing you out and do whatever you can to improve that situation. So go ahead and type into the comment section, what type of stress do you have right now? So to feel younger, it's vitally important that you address the stress part. Now, there's another remedy that I researched that's very, very, very potent to help target these viruses that are related to latency. It won't work if you still have this stress. And it definitely won't work if your basic diet is not correct as well. So I think it would work to a very large degree if your stress is manageable and you are on the right eating plan. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to put that link down below of exactly what you should be eating. Hands down, the strongest herb that can help deal with these viruses is sweet wormwood root. This is a Chinese herb that's been around for at least 2,000 years. It's a very powerful ancient Chinese remedy. And it's good for a lot of things, but it's very well known for its potent effects against malaria. So it's anti-parasitic, antifungal, and antiviral, at least certain viruses that are related to the viruses I mentioned. Apparently, they don't really know exactly how it works, but apparently it injects free radicals or oxidation into this pathogen. There's a tremendous amount of research on this that I'm going to share with you below for fatigue, for stiffness, for inflammation, for brain fog, for symptoms that persist long after someone has a COVID infection. So there are a lot of herbal remedies that you could use. Olive leaf is a good one, oregano oil, sage, garlic, thyme, but sweet wormwood is probably one of the better ones. So anyway, I wanted to share this with you, but really make sure that your diet is implemented correctly and you do whatever you can to deal with the stress, simply because I don't think any remedy is going to work unless the stress is dealt with, because it's such a overriding, dominating factor in someone's health. So the next video for you to watch would be the one on stress. I put that up right here. Check it out.